Welcome back to another episode of Tech Tuesday. In this week's episode, we'll be taking a fresh look at SAMR and how this framework helps with technology integration. Last year, Chris Koenig and I introduced the SAMR framework as a way to help guide technology integration in meaningful ways. This is a great model that helps teachers distinguish the bells and whistles level of integration from learning experiences that effectively raise student achievement using technology. Before I review what SAMR stands for, let's set a quick scene. You are creating a lesson to help your students improve their map skills and want to use a Google app known as MyMaps. If you aren't familiar with this tool, it's located in Google Drive under More and is very similar to Google Maps except for one thing. You can edit the maps and add your own content. I picked map skills because there are several ways that you can use maps in various content areas. Now that we have our lesson objective, let's see how SAMR will help in our design. S stands for substitution, and this is where technology acts as a direct tool substitute, but with no functional change. So instead of having students use a globe or paper atlas to locate a city, let's say Berlin, Germany, they use Google MyMaps. So the only thing that changes in substitution is the tool the students use. The app MyMaps is substituted for paper, but it's the same learning objective, to locate Berlin, Germany on a map. Okay, so I have Google MyMaps up, and to search in MyMaps, I just go up to the search bar of the map screen, and I'm going to type in Berlin, and it will automatically find it for me, so I can click on it, and then it's going to jump to that spot. I can also add this to my map, so it's easier for me to come back and find. A is for augmentation, and this is where technology acts as a direct tool substitute, but with some kind of functional improvement. Meaning the technology is again directly substituted for a traditional one, but with significant enhancements that add to the student's experience. In other words, does the technology tool increase or augment a student's productivity and potential in some way? If we look back at our Berlin example, we now know students know how to locate Berlin on the map, but they need to interact with the MyMaps tool to further enhance their learning. Let's do some math this time. After locating Berlin, students need to measure the distance between Brandenburg Gate and Museum Island. They can do this by using the ruler tool. Okay, so to measure the distance between two places, I first have to find those two places. I've already done a search for Brandenburg Gate and I pinned that to my map. So now I'm going to do a search for Museum Island. And you see it already pops up. So it's going to find that. I'm going to go ahead and add that to my map as well. Again, I'm doing this just to make it a little bit easier for me to find the 2 points later. And then I'm going to zoom out just a little bit and get rid of my message right there. And then I'm going to go up to the ruler. So you can see when I hover over the tool for a second, it's got measured distance and areas. So this is a really great tool to do several things. I can click on my first point, and then I'm going to double click on my next point to let go, and it's going to show me that it's 1.03 miles from Brandenburg Gate. Now at this point, the technology is only being used to enhance the lesson. Makes it a little more cooler, a little more hip, but these are both examples you could have done without the use of technology, and students still would have received the same answers. The next 2 levels of SAMR talk about transforming the lesson to a point where students would not have the same experience if technology wasn't a part of the lesson. So instead of the technology tool being a replacement or an enhancement, it creates an actual change to the design of the lesson and its learning outcome. The key question to keep in mind here is, does the technology significantly alter the task? Now M is for Magnification. And this is using technology to allow for significant task redesign. So after students locate Berlin, Germany, we want them to explore the city and tell us more about it. A really cool feature of MyMaps is that you can add layers to the map, and within those layers, import a KML file, which up until now could only be used in Google Earth. A KML file format allows you to take geographic data, display it, and annotate it. You can find just about anything as a KML file on the internet, from best travel destinations to air quality levels in India. I added 2 KML files to my map. One shows where the Berlin Wall once stood. So when I click on that layer, it adds, again, let me click and get rid of that message. I click on it and now it's added a border showing exactly where the Berlin Wall stood. And the other KML file I added is actually about European exploration routes in the 18th century. And I only used this one because I want to show you the power of MyMaps. Students can interact with this data. So let me go ahead and click off of that layer, and I'm going to click on the next layer. So you can add layers. And then what I did is I actually imported this layer in. So I created European exploration. So here I can kind of walk you through this. If I click on add layer, now I've got a new layer. I can name it something new. So then you can go out to the internet, find something that you want to import into the MyMap that your students can use to explore it, and then click on import. And you can have it already set in your Google Drive, or you can just upload it straight from your computer. You're going to search for a KML file. So here's my KML file that I uploaded already. So I would just click on it, open it, and it's going to pop in just like this layer did here. You can see all of the different tags that are already on this map. So when I click, I've already got it clicked. So then I've got to zoom out so you can see this route. Here we go. So these are all of the different explorers and the different routes that they took. Now, the students have 2 ways that they could interact with this data. They could click on any of these points. Some of these have data in them and some of them do not. So I can click on Henry Hudson, and now it's going to give me some more information about Henry Hudson. You can add images to this. You could add links to YouTube videos, links to articles. So this area has where you can add a lot of content information to it, and it's going to help your students explore the map area. I wanted to show you this one because I really wanted to show you the power of MyMaps and how students can interact with this data, see back through history to understand the significance of how the wall split Berlin in half, explore locations and trade routes, and there's just so much more that you can do with this. They can then take that information and create a presentation in Google Slides, answer questions in Flipgrid, or make an infographic. And finally, we have R for redefinition, using technology to allow for the creation of new tasks previously inconceivable without the use of technology. Now that students have learned more about Berlin, Germany, they can create their own MyMaps guided tour, highlighting famous and historic areas, adding details such as text and pictures, links to videos or articles about what makes Berlin unique, and share with the school community. Their MyMaps project saves in Google Drive just like any other Google app and can be shared out, or you can copy and paste the link to submit as a Canvas assignment. So right here, I've got my share button. I could go in and, if I was a student, I could share it with my teacher and add them in, or I've got my link. Now this link is only accessible to collaborators. So if students are going to share this with you via link, they'd have to add you as a collaborator to the map. and then they could give you the link and you'd be able to go in and see everything that they would have created. So real quick, just to kind of show you some of the other ways that you could do this, I'm going to go back to that new layer I just added in. So I've got where I can place my place markers in any place. I can add information to this marker. I could add anything here. I can hit save. Then if I want to go back in and edit, I can edit the style of the marker. So if it's something where I want students to highlight famous places, maybe I want them to use a star icon instead. This would also be good for identifying state capitals. And then I can go back in and edit any of the information that I put in. This is where I could also add links to YouTube videos or articles or other websites. I can also add an image. I can go down to more and click on a Google image search. And I know I'm not in Berlin anymore. I'm somewhere in Canada at this point. But I just want to be able to show you how this works. Now I could add in a picture, or I could upload a picture of my own, and it goes right into that information. I can click save. It also gives me directions to that point, or I could delete if I needed to delete something and start over again. I also really like the draw a line tool, because if I draw a line or shape, I can create lines. So I'm clicking and then clicking again where I want each point to be at. And now I can make a polygon, and I could add some more information in, really focusing in on a particular area. Students could also use this for biomes if they're identifying different biomes within the world. If you want them to locate different places, they can make them different colors. So once I save this, I can now go back in and say, okay, I want to make this a different color. It's not a very good color there, is it? There we go. And so now I can highlight different regions, put more information in. It's a really, really cool tool. I'll have some more information about how you can use this later, but this is a great way to introduce you to Google My Maps as well.
I do want to provide clarification on a couple of things. One, SAMR is not supposed to judge where your ability level of integrating technology is at. Instead, it is used to guide the design of the lesson in regards to technology tools, which tools you use, and how you want students to use it, not your abilities or comfort level with using technology. While you may feel like a beginner when it comes to using and integrating with technology, it's not the same thing as designing a lesson with technology tools. 2, remember the idea is not to always be at the redefinition level or even the substitution level. One lesson may be at the augmentation level and the next lesson at the redefinition level. It all depends on your lesson objectives. 3, SAMR does leave room for interpretation, especially at the augmentation and modification levels. So what you may think is augmentation could be modification in someone else's opinion. It makes for good conversations on learning and the use of technology tools. And as I said at the beginning of the episode, it makes us stop to think, is this a bells and whistles kind of lesson, or one that effectively raises student achievement? I'm introducing a new segment with tech updates from our favorite apps and sites. And our first one is big news. Recap announced it will be shutting down January 30th, 2019, and is being reintroduced as Synth, an app that will have interactive podcasts in bite-sized increments. They are telling users that it will empower student and teacher voice with the convenience of being able to listen anytime, anywhere. Honestly, I'm not surprised at the news that Recap is shutting down. It's very similar to Flipgrid, and even Recap admitted in an email to its users that Flipgrid's popularity surge in the last year is a large reason as to why the company is shutting down. After January 30th, the company will delete all accounts and data. If you would like to save any recordings, they have just added a video downloading feature that will allow you to download individual student responses, teacher questions, and teacher journeys. I'll have more news on Synth in the next episode, but if you're ready to try Synth, you can sign up for an account at gosynth.com. That's GOSYNTH.com. There's also 2 new PD opportunities coming soon. Starting on Thursday, October 25th, Chris and I will be offering a 4-week course on engaging learning. It will be worth 5 PD points. More information will be coming soon. Also, on December 3rd, a completely online course will be available on blended learning in Canvas. I'm currently putting this course together, and it will be online so that you can do it at your own pace. Winter break will also be soon after that, so this might be a good time to start. Woo, lots of information this week. So as always, if you have any questions, please email Chris Koenig or myself. I'll see you on the next episode of Tech Tuesday.